Thank you everyone for joining us today for our next SwiftUI study group session with Betty. Today's topic is going to be drawing with SwiftUI. We're so excited for this topic, and Betty, if you're ready, you can go ahead and take it over for us.
Yes, I'm ready. You can see my screen?
Yep.
Yes, at the beginning. So yes, this is the ninth session of weekly study group for Women Who Code mobile track. And I'm a volunteer at Women Who Code. And I'm also an iOS developer at Van Moof in Amsterdam. And if you want to join me, it's on and also to find all the link, GitHub, LinkedIn. It's really simple. In your web browser, you put betty.dev. And so just to remind, a quick remind on the spirit of this study group. The idea is to learn based on the Apple Learning Platform, step by step, and each week, each session, we follow the Apple Learning Platform. And so like if you were alone, I have on my screen, part of my screen, the tutorial of Apple and Xcode at the other side. So feel free to ask a question, even if after this recorded session, you can find all the elements on my GitHub and also ask question on GitHub. And the cool thing is you can join the Slack group of Women Who Code. And here you can join all a great community of women all over the world, also from Amsterdam, Spain, US, UK. That's really wonderful. For the goals of this study group is to learn the basic of Xcode, SwiftUI, and UIKit. And precisely, it's SwiftUI for this session. And the way we are learning is by building an application from scratch, and it is called Schrödinger. This application manage daily meetings, and so also useful for your Scrum party. So each week we approach a chapter of the tutorial, so it's really concrete. Here you can find the input of this Swift UI series. We are now at the drawing session, drawing input. And in order to be able to follow each week properly, you can find on my GitHub, on Betty Godier example, it's really easy. You go on my GitHub, you click on go to file, and you can download all the last Xcode that we build week after week. So only by clicking download. That's what I've done also for today. I click on download, unzip the file, and open in Xcode. So now we will do it together, and I will take, yeah, it is the same link here. So drawing. Is there an introduction for drawing? No, directly during the timer. So in the app, I launch the app. You have Daily Scrum with a list of the different team. Inside Daily Scrum, you have all the different info, and you have also speakers, attendees, it's called. And so if you start meeting, you can show your different speakers, but there is not animation on it. There is not draw. So that's what we will do today. This drawing part. So it's track progress during daily Scrum meetings, giving each attendee an equal amount of speaking times. The app displays the meeting progress using segments of a circle represent each speaker. When the circle is complete, all attendees have had a chance to speak. So now we'll create the draw in the progress view. You can download obviously the project file of Apple here. So now we'll create the meeting timer. For that, create a new SwiftUI view. So Command N, SwiftUI, and it is called meeting timer view. Here I put just above also this part, and in it you can just erase this part and put circle. I will resume in order to see on live like this. But this circle, we need also to stroke it, put a stroke border with a line width of 24. Oh, missing a, yeah. And it's a modifier on the circle. And there's also another parameters. If you want to go all the parameters of this modifier, you click on option and click on the mouse. And here you can see that we have put the CG float for the line width, but it's we don't need to put a bool, a true or false part in the second parameters, because it's already done here. It's equal true. If we want to put it false, we have to add at the end. So yeah, important thing, if you want to see all the detail of a modifier, you click on the option click. Now we also overlay a text view on the circle. So for that, we put overlay just above. The place, the order of each modifier is really important. If you put overlay above stroke border, you will not have what you expected. So if sometimes it doesn't work and you're thinking of adding a text or stroke or a padding, or just change the order. So be careful with that. So place order, adding text to a layer in front of the circle, make the text appear inside the circle. You can see just what's happened. And now we will add properties named theme and speaker and update the preview provider. But you will complain, because if we add properties without adding in the preview, the compiler will not be happy at all. So he will complain. Yes, and theme like this, and a static array of simple speaker data is helpful while you develop the speaker list UI. So here you have to add, so he's shouting, you have to fix, you can fix it like this, but we will put a static variable just to be able to have an array. I will copy paste this one. And now I can add speakers, and for the theme, yellow part. So it's building. If I resume, yeah, not yet in this view. And now we will add a computed property named current speaker that returns the name of the current speaker. The current speaker is the first person on the list who hasn't spoken. If there isn't a current speaker, the expression returns someone. Yes, in order. So we're just above the body. So private var current speaker, and it's a string. It's a computed property, so curly brackets, speakers, that first is parentheses, where, and inside it is not, will map it, is completed. And if we have a not the name of the speaker, we'll put someone. Is it correct? Control Command B. Yes. Update the text view to display the current speaker, and use the font modifier to make the view a title. So just inside here, this part, I will put current speaker, and it is a title. So I put a different font, title. Resume. Add a text view to display e-speaking, and wrap both text views inside a VStack. So again, another text with a string is speaking, and all this part will put command, no, option, no, control, no, again, miss, which one? Command. Yes, command embedded in a VStack. I have also to put this text part. Use the accessibility element modifier to combine the elements inside a VStack. So just quick check after the VStack, accessibility element, and it's a children, oops, inside the parentheses, it's a children combine. This modifier makes VoiceOver read the two text view as one sentence. Very useful. Use the foreground style modifier to set the color of the text to the theme accent color. So again, the order of the modifier are really important, and I will ask for which one, accent color. Everything is good. And here, open now, we'll change the circle in the meeting. Where is my meeting view? My meeting view here, too easy. So before I have this circle, now I have his proper view, so I can change. And I have to take this variable, Scrum timer, and inside there is speakers, no attended speakers, okay. And this one is come from the Scrum sim. Okay, between header and footer, obviously. So that's it for this part. I can resume, and you have this preview, and you can see that the name is changing, but not the arc element. So now we will draw an arc element. You will create a single arc element that traces a portion of a circle, represent one speaker's time. So a segment for each speaker. We'll use a for each. This arc will serve as a building block for the next session, where you will draw multiple arc elements to depict the meeting progress among attendees. To create an arc, you will create a structure that conforms to the shape protocol. The shape protocol has one required function, pass in. You will write the passing function and additional property. You will use a calculate. You'll use to calculate the pass inside that function. Your shape will use a number of total speakers to calculate the length of the arc. It will use the index number of the current speaker to know where along the circle the arc starts and stops. So you have two choices. You can create directly a SwiftUI file. It's exactly the same result, or just a Swift file and change the import part. What is the name? Speaker arc. So I will follow exactly what the tutorial recommend. Import file and create a struct with a line between of my speaker arc conform to shape. And the shape protocol requires a func. We have to be conform. It's a protocol, so I can fix directly and let Xcode write it for me. Now we can add a pass function that returns an empty pass. So return what? A pass in, and the pass initializer takes a closure that passes in a pass parameter. Returning an empty pass is enough to resolve the compiler error. It's my application. And is enough to resolve the yes, above, sorry. Yeah, the pass initial take a closure that pass in a parameter. Return an empty pass is enough to resolve the compiler error. And you will now update just in a few seconds this return, but before we have to create constant property for the speaker index and for the total speakers, like this. And you will base the number of arc segments on the number of total speaker. The speaker index indicates which attendee is speaking and how many segments to draw. Now we can add also a private community property, private one, just above, private var degrees per. It allows us to make the calculation. So sorry, 360.0 divided by double on the total speaker. Use total speaker to calculate the degrees of a single arc. Now we also need to calculate the start of the angle and the end of the angle. So we can add a private computed property named start angle and calculate the value using degrees per speaker and speaker index. When you draw a pass, you will need an angle for the start and end of the arc. The additional one .0 degree is for visual separation between arcs segments. So it's mainly the same from the start and on the aid. So start angle conform to angle. It's an angle with is inside the degree. We have degree per speaker available. Y double speaker index, and we need to also add 1 0 like this, and it is exactly the same for the same for the end part, except the minus, always for the -1.0 for to separate. With the start angle and end angle, you can complete the pass in function. In the pass in function, create a constant diameter for the circle of the arc. So here, let diameter equal mine what my rectangle, that size, that mean width, this one. Yeah, error tab currently, a rectangle, that size, that ace, minus 24.0. The pass function takes a CG rec parameter. The core, I miss, oh, it's my, oh, I made a mistake. I put it inside the closure. So just, it's a parameter, just, yeah, much better. The coordinate system contains an origin in the lower left corner with positive value extending up and to the right. So to calculate the radius from the parameters, calculate the radius from the diameter and store it in a constant named radius. So now we put, again, be careful, don't do as I've done before, radius equal diameter, my diameter divided by 2.0. Okay, now I can also add a constant to store the center of the rectangle. Also another parameter equal let center CG point parentheses and coordinate with rectangle, the mid one. You can, it's the basic to draw something in SwiftUI, and you can try to change the mean, and to draw a rectangle, or it's really fun. So now I can add an arc to the pass using the constants you define above. So inside I put my pass that add arc here, and with the center, this one, this one. But maybe we already have parameters here, not to complete everything. So here, center, radius, start angle. We already have, oops, yeah, an angle, and I think we do not need this one. Yes, false. Clockwise is false. Next, you will use the speaker arc you created in this section and lay out multiple shapes to create the complete meeting timer in this section. So for that, go in the meeting, which one? Time of view here, and add another overlay. Be careful with the curly brackets. Yeah, I always have not enough curly bracket, and it's sometimes not easy to find fastly, or to what is the problem. So it's really often the problem of curly brackets which is missing. So this layer, add another overlay with horizontal padding. This layer will display the list of speaker, and for each speaker, as I mentioned, for each speaker here, if we take a speaker in and add an if statement that check whether the speaker is finished, and use optional binding to find the index of the speaker. So if speaker is completed, and with my index equal speaker, this one first. First index, mistake, not the good one. The first indexed, this one, where my first indexed, where yes, put $0, and on the ID equal speaker dot ID. So yeah, I take this part, but I do not need all the parentheses. Yes. I will have problem with my curly bracket. It's what I said just before. Up. Sometimes it's better to not to take all the func. So okay, that's okay. First, where $0.id equals speaker, and an if statement that check whether the speaker is finished, and use optional binding to find the index of the speaker. So I have to close my parentheses from where it is not closed. Yeah, this one, yeah, it's not closed. And inside the speaker arc, using the index and the count of the speaker array. This one, yeah. So now I can have in my if statement, I have the file that I created just before with speaker index based on my index, and my total speaker are speakers that count. And now it should work, yes. And okay, add a rotation modifier that rotates the speaker arc. Can resume, yeah, that's really interesting to see here. So on the arc, I need to have a rotation on my angle, and I put a degree of 90, minus 90. You can see above the difference. Rotating the arc, move the 0 degree angle to the 12 o'clock position, and we have also to stroke, add a stroke, not this one, not a border, but a stroke with the main color. Yes, but it's too thin, so 12 would be a good number. So the stroke modifier trace a line along the path of the shape. Now, if we start should work. We'll start again in the simulator with attendees. This one, if I start a meeting, the first one, the second one, because there are two here. UX design. Oops. I was looking for more attendee. T, for example, it is done. And if I start the meeting, I can see that it is shared. The time is shared between the person. And that's it for today. The next session, we'll talk about sound, speech, and the way to use it in SwiftUI.
Brendan, do you feel better?
Thanks so much, Betty. We are so excited for our next session, and we can't wait to see everyone again next week.
Thank you, Sarah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, it's definitely severe FOMO.